Leo, welcome. I'm Daniel Red Wolf, also known as Dan to everyone. So, welcome to my channel. If you are new, I'm excited that you're here. I started it back in 2016. Definitely took a break. Try to come back, and then I was going through so many initiations, so many transformations, stepping into the role of the teacher, and yeah, a lot of shit has happened during the last couple of years, and Spirit's been guiding me back and said, "You got to get your ass to work." So it's time to work more one-on-one with people, and I'm like, okay. So I've had the privilege of really leading ceremonies, sitting with people in classes, and that's been amazing. But I need to start stepping in one-on-one and really helping clients again. So because I had a wait list, and yeah, I had to walk away. I'm like, hey, I need a break, because this wait list is getting crazy. So I'm an indigenous shamanic practitioner. I come from the Purepecha tribe in Mexico, and I'm based out of Chicago here in Illinois. So I'm so excited to be here. And for those of you who stuck with me since the beginning, welcome back. I'm so excited to be here. Can't wait to see what June holds for you, Leos. And if you want to work with me as a welcome back gift, I'm doing a 50% offer. So if you want to work with me, instead of paying my regular rate that all my clients pay, it is 50% off for those of you who find me on YouTube. Go to the link below to my website, bodysoulspirit.co. That is my practice's website. It is Colibrí Spiritual Wellness Collective. There's a bunch of practitioners that we have here. However, the promo code only applies for me. It's just all the other ones you'll get directed to their websites. So if you want to work one-on-one with me and get through all the shit that we have to go through for transformation, I'll answer all your questions. Definitely reach out to the website below, link below. I would be so more than happy to help you walk on your red road. So that's pretty much it. Subscribe, like, share. If it definitely resonates with you, I would love for you to leave a comment and let me know how you're doing or where you're watching from. So 8 cards that I'm going to pull, and then clarifiers, and then final message from our ancestors. So Leo. My complete opposite sign. I'm an Aquarius, and damn, every single person I've liked was a Leo, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like complete opposites, but so much attraction, and you're like, shit gets real, right? So let's see what happens. 9 of Swords, 4 of Wands, ooh, Justice card, the Empress, the Magician, Knight of Swords, 2 of Wands. That's weird. This card just literally made me feel like someone was expecting a child or getting the news that they're expecting. And the Hierophant. So right off the bat, one of the biggest cards that really caught my attention was the Justice card. The Justice card is saying that there is an imbalance of in your energetic field. There is an imbalance. Something has been going on where you're just like, I am off balance. Shit is happening. I don't know what is happening, but I do not feel like myself. Right? A lot of times people will see the Justice card and they're like, hey, like there's a legal document coming through or stuff like that. For me, what is coming, there's an imbalance. There is something that's not happening. So this could also be that there's an imbalance with your masculine and feminine energy that you have to really begin to address, right? A lot of times we have it where we will take the Leo energy and like all the good traits, but we forget the bad traits, or we don't know how to express, or we express the bad traits, but we forget about the good traits, right? So it's about really being able to identify. It's like, hey, what is out of balance? For some of you, I definitely feel like there's so much energy that you have to begin to release. There has to be a transformation that happens during the month of June. And I think really this is going across the board because we're in the year of 2023. There's so much happening energetically or with the astrological charts where it is every single sign is about, it's really about needing to do a final cleanse during the month of June, starting the month of June, so they can actually finish off the year strong and really start to take off during the month of January in 2024. I know for me, Pluto's going to step into my chart next year, and it's going to it's going to be great, right? I'm actually excited that Saturn's stepping out, right? Moving to my next house, and shit can actually move again, right? Find myself a partner. Who knows? But whatever. We'll see. But I really feel like energy's got to shift. It's our final, like universe's final scrub and saying, hey, get rid of your shit. Letting go. Right? Yeah, for a couple of you, I feel like it's definitely going to be something about signing a contract in terms of house. And I'm saying that because I'm seeing this one with with the four of wands. There is definitely going to be a house happening. There's going to definitely be a move for a couple of you. However, and it could be that you're finally leaving a very toxic environment. Maybe you hate your neighbors or your neighbors hate you. Something is happening, right? And it is very toxic where you're just like, I need to get myself out of this, right? And for a couple of you, I really feel like you've been manifesting this. You've been asking for it. You've been wanting to step into that. So one of the biggest things that I feel might be holding you back is like, holy shit, interest rates, right? I'm seeing the interest rates happening right now in my mind. So that could be like, oh my God, what if interest rates go up, right? But again, if you're waiting for interest rates to go up, what happens when all of a sudden the interest rates start to drop, but then the housing prices start to go up again? It's like, do you want to rather pay a higher price of the house or higher interest rates and then just pay it off the house a lot sooner, right? Pick your battle, they're telling me, when it comes to that. And I'm saying that because I keep seeing numbers, and that's really important with the Hierophant. That it's like, hey, pay attention to the fine print. Pay attention to, am I really saving in the long run, or am I not? So again, it is definitely time for you to move. And maybe for a couple of you guys, you're finally just wanting to move because maybe you're expecting a child, or you're expecting a child in June, July, or maybe you've realized that, hey, you're expecting, you just got the news. If you are, congrats. Expanding your family is definitely something that's always amazing. Just, again, start preparing a will, a trust, right? I always, for my personal stuff, I always say, in my family, I always tell them, get a trust. A will is definitely a great thing to have. However, put everything in a trust so that it doesn't go to probate, right? I am not a legal advisor. I am not doing that. I'm just telling you based on my experience and based on what my attorney has told me, and based on what I do in terms of my stuff and how I have my stuff organized. So it's, again, put it in the trust. So they're telling me really seek legal counsel if you're wanting to start putting stuff into, for inheritance for your children. This is the month to start taking action. You're never too old, right? I think a lot of times we're terrified of talking about death. Maybe that's something that you're going to have to start bringing up, because maybe there is going to be a death in the family. So now it's going to really trigger you during the month of June to start being like, hey, I got to get my shit in order, right? We plan for vacation, we plan for everything else, but we never plan for our transition to the non-physical, right? And then everybody who stays in the physical starts scrambling, right? So I always tell people, once you let go of that fear, it's okay to start talking about your transition. It is such a beautiful process that the moment you accept it as part of a natural course of life, that you're going to finally be able to be open and talk about it. But for a lot of times, there's fear, there's shame when it comes to that, or talking about money, right? There's shame about talking about money or inheritance, right? So this is definitely the month about being able to tackle that stuff when it comes to preparing for, what do you call that thing? Transitioning, right? So, love, which is making me wonder. Knight of Swords. For a couple of you, I feel like there's definitely some love coming in. If you're single, there is definitely a young air sign that's going to step into this picture, and it's definitely going to be friends at first, and it's going to come very quickly. With this one being in the horse, it is definitely going to come quickly. So for a couple Leos, you might meet someone who is an air sign, right? Who are the air signs? Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. They're going to catch your attention, and this person is probably going to be a spiritual person. They're going to be very in tune to their spirituality. They're going to be very open. They're going to be very vulnerable and say, hey, this is me. Take me or leave me. And I really feel like that is a lot of air signs, where it's just like, hey, we're blunt. We just don't give a shit. This is who I am. Take me or leave me, right? So it's definitely going to be that. However, in order for that to happen, we have the Empress. The Empress, again, reminds us we got to do our shadow work. We got to look at the dark sides. Right here, it's like, in this deck, she's butt naked right there. You know, she's showing her breath, she's showing her body. It's like you have to be willing to be vulnerable, Leos, because you got to be comfortable in your own skin. You got to be comfortable in of who you are, right? But you have to be willing to accept all your failures, not just your successes, right? And say, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I've gone through. This is what I've done, right? So for a lot of folks, right, that don't know me, it is, you know, I grew up poor, right? We grew up, right, not having much, right? And even in Mexico, being raised here, but also being raised in Mexico, it's like we didn't have much on the land, right? It was just helping other people, and you kind of just survived, right? So same thing. I embrace that. I'm just like, hey, this is me. I've worked my ass off to get where I am, right? And however, I appreciate everything that I've had and my upbringing, because it has really shaped who I am and really allowed me to understand my values. So it is definitely being pushed onto you to say, hey, you have to rebalance your shadow. You have to love your shadow. You have to embrace it, because the moment you do that, love's going to step into the picture. For a couple of you, I feel like if you are coupled, there might be some toxicity. The word manipulation, controlling is really coming in. Even narcissist is definitely coming in. So it's maybe that it's the time where you're going to start maybe walking away. And this actually reminds me that it could also be a family. Maybe your partner's family is very toxic, so you maybe start distancing yourself from them. So for those of you who are coupled, really pay attention to what is happening. Who else is in control of your relationship? This is really going to be the month where your eyes are going to start opening and start seeing things. A couple of you, I feel like you might step into counseling, therapy, like group therapy and stuff like that. You know, in the past I've done therapy and I'm like, I'm done with that. Definitely stepping into the coaching, the spiritual coaching aspect. The shamanic coaching has been definitely a lot easier because you don't have to diagnose people and work through all that crap. But you still work through all the crap that you normally would usually do in therapy, except you don't really do it in the therapy style. So again, you're gonna maybe step into therapy, maybe you'll step into coaching, but again, you're gonna step looking into an elder, looking into a spiritual coach, someone who's gonna help you move you into that space, right? I had one time people reach out to me like, hey, do you do any coaching for couples? I'm like, nope. I said, I would be more than happy to help you individually, and then you guys do your work alone, but I will not do it. And the reason for that I don't do it, I don't specialize in that, is because I always tell people, I'm like, I'm not going to be a referee. We each got to work on our own shit. And when we work on our own shit and we embrace that and we step into it and then work together to heal our own crap, that is when transformation happens. And I've done that for so many people that all of a sudden the relationships improve. But it's like, we got to work on our dark parts first. Because the moment we work on our shit, other people are willing to work through it. It's like contagious at that point. So again, it's about planting the seeds of what it is you want, because there's definitely going to be growth in terms of your relationship if you're willing to do the work. However, sometimes if it's a toxic environment, when in terms of family, or one of our families, maybe your family is the one that's toxic, right, Leos? Or maybe your partners, whichever one it is, sometimes distancing yourself from that person or from that family is maybe the best thing that can happen. And yeah, they're going to talk shit. I'm not going to lie. I'm feeling like they might talk shit and be like, oh, you're too good for us, blah, 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 and this and that. It's like, let that shit go. Be like, you know what? We're working on our own shit. I don't need your crap right now. And being unapologetically yourself is really going to be the most important part, right? There was this book that I saw at Target the other day. It says, grow the fuck up, and so other people can treat you like an adult or something like that. And I sent it to a friend. I'm like, oh my God, this is for a colleague of yours. Like, this is really for them, right? And I really feel like it is like one of those things where sometimes we just want people to grow the fuck up, and it's like they just are not at that level. So we start raising our vibration, and they're just not in alignment with us, that we have to say, bye, I gotta go, right? I'm not dealing with this toxic behavior. So again, holding your boundaries, being firm, because that's the only way your relationship's going to really manifest and transform. And again, it's going to be willing to step into your transformational. In order for you to step into your transformational zone, you have to be willing to be vulnerable and address everything in your relationship and that partnership, right? I think the topic for every sign this month was shadow work. Overall, the whole year, I think it's really been shadow work. So I actually taught a class on shadow work last month, and it probably took a couple of days, like 4 days, I think it was. I released it to my email list, and I said, hey, it's class is happening. It's going to be remote, so everybody can go access it. And I only had 15 slots, and they were gone. I was like, holy shit. And I'm not gonna lie, it was an intense class. Like there was a lot of crying. Like, it's total vulnerability, right? Total courage. But it was such a safe zone that everybody liked it. And I still have people asking me like, "Hey, are you gonna do it again?" I am gonna do it again. I'm just not sure when. So we'll see. If you subscribe to my email list on my website, you'll get whatever happens, right? In terms of classes, whether in person in Chicago or around the U.S. or the world. I also travel around to do classes and ceremonies. So sometimes they might not be in Chicago. Sometimes they might be in California, out in the East Coast or whatever. I was invited to go to Ireland. So, I was asked, would I do a class in Ireland? I'm like, heck yeah, I would. Right. So that's on the books. So again, transformation is definitely going to happen for you during this month for all the Leos. And for, like I said, for those of you who are waiting for someone from, I don't even know if I said it, but if you're waiting from someone from the past, you got to let shit go. The wheel, again, I like this card because you see the light and the dark here. So she has like a lighter shadow and the darker shadow. Again, it's rebalancing the yin and the yang. That's been across the board here, right? And I literally just put I put this card exactly where these two cards are. Balance, balance, balance. So in order for that to happen, you're going to be able to see the transformation occur, right? The hangman, again, rebalancing, dark on top, light on bottom, starting to open your heart, starting to open your intuition, move yourself. Then the Queen of Cups, connecting back to your inner self, connecting back to your thing, to doing divination work, right? If you know how to do scrying, definitely step into that, right? And most importantly, the Eight of Cups is finally starting to honor yourself, finally starting to honor your ancestors, finally starting to honor who in your boundaries and saying, hey, I'm ready to walk this path alone because it is all about me. I don't need everybody. I don't need to take everybody with me. I just need to do it because a lot of times we want to walk this path. We don't want to hurt people's feelings, so we want to take everybody with us, right? But it's like, hey, we already have to deal with our invisible suitcase with shit. Leave all these people behind. They're not ready to go. Walk the path alone, right? It's like walk the path, create the path, and then let people get inspired to walk their own path, right? And that's the hardest part. I know that's the shit that I had to do the last couple of years, especially walking as a teacher. I actually had someone, they were we were in a class and they're just like, so, and I was talking in the class and I was like, it does get lonely. I do get lonely at times. And they're like, wait, what? It threw them completely off that I said I get lonely. I'm like, there are times I do get lonely, right? I may not be alone, but there are times where I am lonely, and that's totally fine, right? So it is sometimes we're going to feel lonely, and sometimes we're going to feel like, and even though we're not alone, there's people around us, right? But it's okay to be alone. It's okay to be able to move through that state, right? Because our ancestors say is remember who you are, and that's ultimately who we are. It's going back to who we connect, right? Some of you might connect with the element of the bear, right? Of transformation, of evolution, of growth, of taking time out. So it is remembering who you are and what your values are, right? So for me, my values are choosing courage over comfort, being willing to say what I'm thinking, right? And being willing to be curious of what triggers me. That is another one of my values. And all these things, it's important because it reminds me of who I am and who I want to be. And one of the biggest things that one of the biggest quotes that I've always loved, and I was reminded of it again a couple years ago, was one from Maya Angelou. She's like, you are never free until you realize you belong no place. You belong every place, no place at all. The price is high, but the reward is great, right? So a lot of times we want to fit in. So for Leos, you might want to be going through the month of June trying to fit in, but it's not about fitting in. It's about belonging. It's about saying, hey, this is who I am. I'm showing up unapologetically myself. I don't give a shit if you like me or not. Move on. Step into that power. Step into, right? You're the Leo. You are the lion. You gotta roar. You gotta say what you feel. You got to say what mean what you say and say what you mean, right? Type of thing. But be willing to just be unapologetically yourself, because the moment you start showing up and being vulnerable and say, hey, yeah, I didn't like the way you treated me. I didn't like the way you acted. It made me feel like X, Y, and Z. But also be curious on why it triggered you, right? Why did that thing trigger you? But being open about it and saying, hey, this is how it made me feel. Or if someone does something and you're like, hey, the story that I'm making up is X, Y, and Z, right? That's one of the biggest things. I always talk to people. It's like, hey, and it's scary when you do that. It's like, hey, the story I'm making up when you made that comment is X, Y, and Z. And they might be like, oh my God, that is definitely not what I was thinking. I was thinking of something completely different, right? So it's owning your shadow, owning who you are, roar like the freaking lion you are, because you are fucking awesome. Not gonna lie, right? You just gotta own who you are, especially. And in order for you to do that is remember who you are. Remember all those parts that you've locked away. Embrace all those parts that you've locked away of yourself, because you don't want people to see those. So Leos, it's going to be a fucking month, awesome month for you. It's going to be amazing if you're willing to do your shadow work, right? None of us want to do shadow work, but it's the only way we move forward, right? So that's when we face adversity and then transform. So Leos, you are going to have a freaking crazy month. It's going to be amazing. The rest of the year is going to be crazy as well for you. But this is what's going to lead up to your birthday, which is at the end of July, early August, right? This is definitely what's going to lead into your birthday. Because your birthday month, I feel like that's really where shit's going to happen. Stuff's going to transform. Definitely income's going to increase during the month of August. And now my voice is almost completely gone. Thank goodness you're the last video. So again, hope it resonated with you. Like, share, subscribe. And if you want to work with me, I would love to work with you. Follow the link below, bodysoulspirit.co, and get the link, get the promo code to make sure you get the 50% off so we can work together. I'm so excited for what happens with you. I can't wait to see you guys next month. Next month. Take care, Leos. Talk to you soon. Bye.